What's up, Diamond Member people? It is Bobby Jocson, or Allie's younger brother. I'm also a strength and conditioning coach. So I'm certified personal trainer. I have my corrective exercise specialist certification, performance enhancing, nutrition, all the things that make me legit. No, but today we're going to be talking about your body and how it's going to change during puberty. No, I'm joking. We are going to be talking today about a couple of specific things. The first thing we're going to be talking about today is foam rolling or soft tissue work, stretching, mobility, whatever word you like to call that. But the first thing I want to talk to you first about is the foam roller, and this is a foam roller. Super simple. You can pick this up anywhere: Target, Amazon, Marshalls, Walmart, and this is actually a fourth of a foam roller. This isn't even a full size. So if you wanted to pick up a full size foam roller, cut it up 4 ways, split the price 4 ways with 4 friends, then there you go. You got a foam roller for the fourth of the price. And this is just a tool, right, to help me get to a specific goal, right? So one of the things that comes along with foam rolling is a lot of misconceptions and myths about what it actually does. So the foam roller, in a sense, is all it does is create a response from the muscle to the brain. And a lot of people think that it lengthens the muscle. It does not. It does not break up scar tissue, right? All it does is create a receptor response from the muscles of the brain. So when I roll out my glute and it's really sore or it's really tight, right? If it's really tight, it's probably really sore. All I'm doing is sending a response to the brain to put the brakes on the tightness that is going on. It's just a trigger point. And this is really good for specific areas of your body that you're having issues with, right? So if you're sitting a lot, you probably have a lot of issues with your glutes, your piriformis muscle, your TFL, your IT band, your hamstrings, and we'll go through some of those today. But I don't want you to see this as a one-stop shop tool that's going to solve everything. This is not a magic pill. Obviously, there's a lot of things that are involved in your health, right? So good diet, good training program, good mobility program, good sleep, body, hydration. So just keep that in mind while we're going through this. I don't want you to think that I'm saying this will cure everything. So without further ado, let's get to foam rolling. All right, so right now we're looking at me sitting on the foam roller, and this is one of the things that I do every single time that I get on the foam roller. I sit down on it, and you can see that I took my left ankle and I put it up on my right knee, and what that does is kind of open up that glute-hip complex, and all I'm doing is doing slow rolls back and forth, almost like I'm kneading out dough. It's not about rolling back and forth really, really fast. It's all about nice, smooth pressure. And that's really what we're trying to do, is we're trying to create pressure in that area to signal that response. I think a lot of times people do this, they feel pain, and initially the body wants to tighten up. Which also means you stop breathing. So one of the things you really need to focus on here is making sure that you are breathing through this. These aren't long rolls. I'm really more focused on the pressure and how I am breathing during that. In through my nose, out through my mouth. If you guys do yoga, it's the same exact thing. So now this position right here, this position is getting right into my piriformis or my TFL. That's right, kind of like right in that hip, right on the side of my hip. And that, for me at least, is a big trigger point that really gets flared up every time I get into a seated position for too long. So now down here, I'm on my IT band, so I'm going from the top of the knee all the way up to just below the hip. And same thing here, right? Rolling back and forth, nice and smooth, focusing on my breathing. I'm going through this really fast just for the video. You can spend, a couple minutes there if you want to. No pain is going to subside completely. What you might find is a numbing out of the pain, but nothing to the point where you're gonna, get on the foam roller and all of a sudden you're gonna stand up and say, "I'm healed." So that is the IT band. And here in a second, I'm going to start moving up towards the back. All right, here we go. So when I get to the back, basically what I'm doing is I'm just hugging myself. I'm hugging myself as much as I can, and I'm doing that because it's opening up my back, right? I'm basically folding my lats around to create as much surface area as possible. And really, one, it feels really good. Two, you might feel a couple cracks. We call this the poor man's massage. And then I take my arm and I bring it completely above my head. And that's what I'm doing there is I'm specifically targeting the lat. So one major area in the lat that gets really irritated and which can come with a lot of shoulder problems is right up there by the armpit. So as I come through, right, I'm getting right up in here, right up underneath the armpit where that lat attaches. A lot of pain can come from this with people who are sitting all the time. Their shoulders get hunched forward, their shoulders get high, right? These are easy things that you can do in the office if your office is cool enough and lets you get on the ground, or you can do, before you go to work, after you go to work. All right. All right, so now I'm getting down on the ground and I'm getting into a half kneeling position. So 90 degrees on my front leg and my back leg. From this position right here, what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I'm engaging the glutes, right? I'm squeezing my butt and I'm driving from the hip. I'm not driving from my belly button, okay? So if I were to drive from my belly button, if you could imagine it on the screen, my lower back would be arched, and that's what we don't want. I want a good stretch in the hip. You should be feeling that stretch all the way down the quad, the front of your leg, right? Maybe in your hip flexor. And what I'm doing is I'm pulsating forward 15 to 20 times, small little pulses, and then I'm holding for about 20 to 30 seconds. And what that's doing is we're kind of giving and go, giving and go, giving and go, and then a full-on, right, static stretch. Same thing, other side. You can see it from the other side. I'm driving from the glute. And one of the biggest things that most people butcher is they don't engage the glute, right? So if you were to look at the video right now, right, I'm engaging my left glute, right? That's what I'm focused on, my left butt cheek. If you can't engage your glutes, then you need to contact me or somebody because then we got a problem. But you should be able to feel that stretch as soon as you engage your glutes. So driving forward, and then I'm holding, holding, holding. You can use a foam roller to kind of keep yourself upright or not, doesn't matter. This is a very basic stretch that you can do every single day, pretty much anywhere. Before you go on a plane, right, in the office, when you wake up in the morning. If your office isn't cool enough, like we talked about, you could go in the bathroom. That's kind of gross. Going into the next exercise is the pigeon stretch. So if you've ever gone to a yoga class, I'm sure you've done this stretch before, okay, kind of going into a figure four position, okay, and the main thing that I'm focused on here is making sure that I first square both of my hips up, right, so both of my hips are pointing down towards the ground, right, I settle myself in there, and then I kind of get low. The next thing that I'm going to be going into is I'm going to kind of prop myself up again, and I'm going to take my right shoulder and pulsate towards my left knee, right? So I'm kind of doing the same type of thing I did with my half kneeling position that I'm doing with my pigeon stretch. So 20, 15, 20 pulses back and forth, and then I'm holding for 15, 20 seconds. And we're just creating a little bit more of a stretch there. Going into the next one, my pigeon stretch is not the prettiest. I would say I'm not the most flexible person in the world. You could go to probably every yoga class and find somebody more flexible than me. But it's really more about getting a good stretch, making sure that we're not putting too much pressure on the knee, right? So if you feel any pressure on the knee, stop it, right? Don't do that. It's always about pain, right? If you feel pain, right, sharp pain, stop. All right, so this is another variation of the pigeon stretch that you can do, and most people actually like it better. It's from an elevated position, so it's basically the same exact stretch that you do from the ground. The only difference here is that I'm elevating my foot up, and for most people, right, this is probably going to be a better stretch than on the ground because you can get into a better position, you can keep your hips square. I'm showing you that you can do it on literally anything. This is one of those very unstable, crappy cafeteria chairs. Be careful, but I'm sure you can find something a little bit more solid than that. And then the last thing that I'm going to kind of go over, something quick you can do, is basically a three-part movement series. Basically, it's a toe touch to a squat to arms up and stand, okay? And all I'm doing is I'm driving my hips back. I need a good stretch of my hamstrings, right? I'm getting into that Asian squat, or what do they call it? Third world squat, and just trying to settle myself as much as I can, right? So I'm sitting my hips down. You go to what you can, right? Don't feel like you need to do exactly as I'm doing in terms of the depth of the squat or the depth that I'm going down into my toe touches. It's really not about being completely perfect, if that's that might sound bad, but it's really just about moving in a sequence that I can flow through pretty quickly and easily. And this is something that you can do every single day. Toe touches, sitting, right? Good for the hips. Push those knees out, arms up, stand. So there you go. Some very technical things that you can do on a daily basis with just a foam roller and a surface area. And hopefully you can start to include some of these things within your daily routine. Hopefully they will help you with the tightness, the pain, soreness that you might be having attributed to you sitting on a daily basis. But the second thing I wanted to talk to you today about, and the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, was what I always talk to new clients about. Usually when I get new clients in, for the most part, all of them are very motivated when they first come in. I mean, they're like on fire. They're like, my life's going to change, right? We're going to do this, we're going to do that. And what I make sure that they think about before getting into that mindset is I tell them up front that they are going to fail, right? There are going to be days that they come into the gym where they just don't have it, right? There are going to be weeks where they drop the ball, right? They eat like shit. There are going to be periods of your life where you just are not in the groove, and that's for everybody, right? Like for me, I go through periods all the time where I start looking back, I'm like, geez, I hardly even work out right now. I'm so busy. And the worst thing you could do is have the mindset of perfection, and as soon as it's gone, completely give up on that, right? So take me, for example. I could go a whole month, right, and only work out one time a week because I'm so busy. I could easily give up, right, and have the perfect mindset and think, well, since I'm only working out one time a week, right, it's over, I can't do it, I can't get back on it, right? We need to have the mindset of consistency. So if my life is really busy and I can only work out one time a week, then I'm just going to make sure that I'm consistent with that, right? So and that goes back to the stretching and mobility routine that I just went over in those last videos, right? If your goal and your conservative goal is to try to do this one time a week, do that one time per week, right? We're not here to set records, to gain 25% in 1 week with whatever that is. Because if it's fast growth, right, it's probably not sustainable growth. We want slow and steady growth, because slow and steady growth, right, creates habits. And if I can create a one time a week stretching routine habit, right, that habit's going to be very hard to break, right? So, and once I have that habit, then maybe I can add in another day, right? So those are the two things I want you to think about. Don't try to be perfect. Try to be consistent. I hope this helped you guys. If you have any questions at all, you can reach out to me. You can email me. You can direct message me on social media. I'm sure my social media, email, and all that will be somewhere here around the screen, maybe. And you guys can ask me any questions that you guys might have, whether that's about mobility, your training, just getting into working out, what you should be doing, places that I would recommend that you could go to, anything like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys got something out of it. And until next time, peace.